So today I'm going to quickly go over how to go a step further and create kind of a more complicated layout for your website. And now this is totally optional, but it's something that a couple people have asked me about, so I was going to dive in. And specifically I'll be going over the flexBox layout and that CSS allows you to create. There is a different kind of layout. You can a kind of layout method called the grid method, and we could learn about that potentially a different date. But basically I'm going to show you how I'm going to kind of model how I created this layout, where I have content here. It's kind of split into two pieces. I have content here, and I have 3 cards down here. So that's what I was going to show you, and then you can customize kind of what I did to your own situation and the layout that you want. But kind of just to show you my idea is basically I have these blocks, and I'm going to create a block here, so 5 different blocks. And you can see those 5 different blocks here. I've got block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, and block 5. I also have I basically split this first block into 2 different blocks, like sub blocks is what I'm calling them. And these are just terms that I use within my own code, but you'll see in a minute. But basically I have these sub blocks that make up block 1, and then I have block 2, block 3, block 4, and block 5. So before I jump into creating this layout here with this actual content, I wanted to just create the same layout, but with some pretty basic, just with kind of just making these boxes, kind of like how I have laid out here. I want to make that kind of look the same on this web page. And so I've started off with just these divs. Block 1 div, each one has a class of block. Now I don't have any CSS applied to this yet, to the class of block, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to add a background color just so that we can see it appear here, that each block has this aquamarine color behind it. But I also want them to have a margin just so that we can see where each block starts and ends. And so we're going to put a margin of let's do 20 pixels for now. And just so that they kind of take up some space, now we're going to put a width of, let's go with 200, with 400 pixels, and a height of 200 pixels. Now this you might not necessarily, we'll see, you might not actually set this in when you're doing real content, but for now we're just going to do this so that it gives it some shape here. So we have these different blocks. Then remember that this can each be, this might represent an image, this might represent a quiz or something, whatever. So we have these different blocks here, but our goal is to make them into this layout. So block 1 here, let's go to index.html. We can exit out of this for a second. So the block 1 and the block 2 are on the same line, or the same row is what we should call it. So I'm going to create a different container, which is going to be called row, and I will place both of these blocks, the first 2 blocks, inside this row. And I will do the same thing because there is a second row with these blocks in it. And create that row. Now this class row doesn't do anything yet. It still looks exactly the same as it did before, because I need to go into my CSS and I need to define this row. Now just for the sake of clarity, I'm going to put this block below the row, just because I'm thinking the row is larger than the block, and it's the the row contains the blocks. Just as how I'm going to choose to organize it. Now, just out of curiosity, I'm going to give this a background color of, let's go with blue violet, just so we can see. Oh my. So this is row 1 and it contains 2 blocks. This is row 2. It's the second row we have, and it contains 3 blocks, just like we did here. This row contains 1 block. This row contains 3 blocks. Now what we want to do, now these colors don't really matter, I'm just so you can see them. But what we're going to do is we're going to display and hit flex, and this kind of creates that flex model here. Now let's also put a margin here. We're going to only do it on the top of the row because these 2 rows are touchy. We want to make it so there's 20 pixels here. Now you can see this is row 1, this is row 2. So if you notice, I have these within each row, these blocks are left aligned. I want them to be, well, this I didn't do it very well here, but I want them to be centered in each row. I want these blocks to be centered within the row. So what I can do here is, well, first of all, I'm going to move this down here just because these are styles, just so we can see the boxes. But this here is what matters, display flex. Now you can do justify content, and this will, you could do, and we're going to do center here. Because you could do left. That's what its default is. But if you hit center, it'll center the blocks within each row. And that's awesome. Okay, so my goal now is to actually kind of shrink all of this to make the width of this whole section of material smaller, because I want it to look like this. I want to create this, have this learning module, this kind of learning experience in the center of the page. Now in the future I might have a different part of my website, like maybe I have like a header up here with my logo and like different links. That might take up the whole, would probably take up the whole width of the page. But just this learning section, what I have so far, I want to be centered in the page. So I actually created a section. You could technically have it be a div, but I created a section and I gave it the class module because I called it module. And technically, so we can go into this another day, but you could have a header up here, you could have a footer down, outside of, below this section I could have a footer, and this would then be outside of this section. But so let's say I just want to have this, all of this material centered on the page. So I have created this class module. And so now if I reference this module here, and first, before I center it, I want to actually make it about, see this material here only takes up half of the page. It's only 50% of the page. So I want to make the width 50%. And you can see it has split this up into this takes up 50% of the whole page. Now to center it, you do margin, and you can actually put multiple numbers in the margin. If you just put one number, then it will be that, like for example 20 pixels, that would be 20 pixels around the whole. It would give margin 20 pixels of margin on the top, bottom, and left and right. But if you do 0, if you do 2 numbers, the first number refers to the top and bottom, and the second number will refer to the sides. So if you do 0, it's just basically saying, oh, we're not going to worry about the margins of the top and the bottom. But auto here is cool because it will just say, we just want equal. We don't care what the margin is. We just want it equal on In this case, this is so 0 refers to top bottom, so kind of ignoring top and bottom. But the second space here refers to left and right. So we're saying we don't care what the margins are, we just want them to be equal. So equal margins on the left and right. So what that does is it centers this content here in the middle of the screen.